The Ten Commandments are recorded twice in the Bible, once in Exodus chapter 20 and the second time in Deuteronomy chapter 5. Now we're going to read from Exodus chapter 20 and we'll read the first 3 verses of the chapter. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. In my job, one of the things that I have to do very occasionally is to read Northern Ireland laws. They're not an easy read. Often it can be difficult to figure out what is being said. Is this something I must do, or simply something that I'm allowed to do? Or is it something that I mustn't do? Are there conditions or are there exceptions? Does it apply to everyone, all the time, everywhere? The beauty of these 10 commandments is that they are simple and straightforward, simple to understand, yet even in their simplicity, not easy to do. The lawyer who so readily quoted the first and great commandment to the Lord Jesus in Matthew chapter 22, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy strength and with all thy mind, as it says in Luke chapter 10. He was quickly to realize that he came far short. Honesty on our part would bring us to that same conclusion as well. The commandment that we have read is first for a reason. Everything else hangs on this commandment. And to fall here is to fall at the first hurdle. You know, God made us for himself, and true fulfillment for every human being is found only in God. I think that the words of Augustine around 1500 years ago crystallize this so well. Thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it finds its rest in thee. And yet we fill our lives with other things. We might not call them gods, we might not bow down to them or offer incense to them, but nonetheless we do devote ourselves to them, our time, our money, and our energy, to stuff which has no ability to provide satisfaction to our empty souls. Some people have the idea that thou shalt have no other gods before me is the unreasonable, self-centered demand of one who has little interest in us except for what can be got out of us. But we've only to read the words in the previous verses, let alone what we find elsewhere in the Bible, to realize that that is completely wrong. God brought the Israelites, as it says in verse 2, out of the house of bondage. He brought them into liberty, a liberty that could only be fully enjoyed in fellowship with himself. God's injunction, repeated so often in the book of Leviticus, to be holy, for I am holy, was not designed to imprison them. It was designed to empower and liberate them. Other things are not worthy of our devotion. Things are perishable and passing. Pastimes have no power to fulfill. People are sinners like we are. The idols of ancient times and the superstitions that persist even in our modern world are empty. Only God can satisfy the longing soul, as it says in Psalm 107. There's a hymn that puts it really powerfully. Now none but Christ can satisfy, none other name for me. There's love and life and lasting joy, Lord Jesus, found in thee. The first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me.